Welcome, everybody. It's so exciting to have you here. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Rahma. Wonderful to have you joining us. And Brian, I'm just going to hand over to you to please let people in. Are you able to see everybody coming in?
I'm all over it.
Okay. So before we jump in, I actually just want to give a huge shout out to my partner in Shine, Bronwyn Kennedy, who's here with us today. We've climbed a couple of mountains together over the last week or two, and I'm just thrilled that we have managed to pull it off and be here with all of you because this is something that is so dear to our hearts. We've poured our hearts and souls into creating the Code of the She-Wolf. And we are so excited to be sharing it with you today. So I'm going to hop into my presentation and we're going to dive in. And what we're going to be exploring today is looking at the 11 codes of the She-Wolf and how we can really unlock our power and live with wild courage. So many of you have got the Wild Courage Framework. If you haven't, we're going to give you access to it at the end of this webinar. But what we're really looking at here is a transformative journey to living with courage and authenticity and purpose. And to be able to look in the mirror and unleash this powerful driving force that is inside of us, because each of us has got a longing that comes from our souls, that comes from our hearts, to live into our vision, to live into a dream, and to make our desires a reality. And I just love this quote by Tony Robbins, and I just love this because it's almost like there's a future self that's calling us to come forward and to fulfill our destiny. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting on this call today. And so this is for you if you are tired of playing small, if you've spent years fitting in, compromising, which is a dirty word in my language, quieting your voice to make others comfortable. And now is the time that something inside of you is saying that it's done. You're ready to reclaim your power and really create a life that reflects your truth. This is for you if you second guess yourself more than you like to admit. You overthink. My gosh, I've spent a lot of my life doing this. You have feelings of doubt. Sometimes you look for external validation. It's just exhausting. It's time to trust yourself. It's time to tune back into your intuition and step forward with confidence. But maybe you're not sure where to start. So you're in the right place. And you're ready for a shift, whether it's in life, love, leadership, or your purpose. You can feel it. A change is coming. And even though you don't have all the answers yet, something in you knows that it's time. Maybe you're heading towards a big transition. Maybe it's around work. Maybe your children are leaving home like mine are. And so we've got these transitions or times in our life where we just know that it's time for a shift. And then you crave real deep connection, not just surface level support, but you want to belong in a space where you can be seen, understood, and held by women who truly get it and get you, where we're walking next to each other along the same path of growth and transformation. And I absolutely love the quote that says, her name's just gone out of my mind, but I'll remember it just now, that Brené Brown is that fitting in is the opposite of belonging. And what we're wanting to create with the code of the She-Wolf is a deep sense of belonging. So this is not for you if you're content with the status quo, you're happy to stay comfortable and unchallenged and unchanged, and you don't have a desire to explore what's possible. You prefer to keep pushing forward without reflection, relying solely on external measures like titles or praise, and ignoring your inner voice. I know this doesn't apply to any of you. You resist growth. You're not ready to face your doubts or step beyond familiar limits, preferring certainty over courage. And you're looking for quick fixes. So we're not here today to offer you a quick fix. What we're here today to do is to offer you authentic frameworks that we have used in our own lives over and over again to make the shifts and the transformations that we are committed to. So I'm pretty sure that none of you relate to these 4 elements. And I just wanted to quickly share up front one of the results that we've got, because I know that sometimes when you're stepping into a new community, or maybe you're connecting with me for the first time, that it's important to know that other people have walked this journey with me. And Gloria is the CEO of a company, and her statement here is one can in fact have it all. We've been working together since 2020, and she's had massive shifts in her focus to self-growth. She's embraced her uniqueness and unlocked a whole new approach to life. She's been challenged, and what she once thought impossible and difficult to transform has happened, and she's now truly living her best life. And hopefully one day we will have Gloria in the community and she can share some of the big changes and shifts that she's made. So this is what we are going to be learning today, so that you can live with wild courage. And these are secrets that I think often aren't shared in the personal development industry, because it means that you would be able to make these shifts on your own. You would be able to go and take and apply these frameworks, and people want to hold this information close to them. So secret 1 is a transformative roadmap that I've created, because when I looked at the transformational journey that I've been on, I wanted to create a roadmap that other people could follow. Because we can be in therapy, we can be in coaching for years, we can go from course to course to course. And what I wanted to create was a roadmap that could help people to shift and not have to go through the many, many years and struggles that I went through when I started this journey over 30 years ago. And then the growth framework is really what liberated me from conforming to fitting in and playing small. And it's yours now to embrace. And this is a proven system to harness your inner strength, break free from external expectations, and step into your authentic power. I think as women, we have so many messages around external expectations, living in a particular way, putting other people first. And so this really gives us the tools to be able to bring balance to that, to take care of ourselves while taking care of other people. And then the Wild Courage Framework, some of you have already started maybe working with this, but this is for you to really step into living authentically, to ignite your inner fire, and to really dedicate and devote yourself to this courageous journey. And this is a 4-step path to wake up to your truth and to really start to begin to live with wild courage. And just as a huge, huge thank you to those of you that stay until the end of this webinar, we're going to be offering you a free PDF. And this is Intuition is Your Superpower. And this is a guide to deeply connect with your inner wisdom. It's going to give you some practices that allow you to go quiet enough to start to listen and to trust that inner voice. Because I really believe that we know, if we listen to that inner wisdom and we access it, that we know better than anybody else what we need, what action we need to take, what courageous communication we need to deliver. But in our fast-paced world that we're living in, we sometimes miss it. And we get that flash, but we don't pay attention to it because we're moving so quickly from one thing to the next. And so this is an amazing tool to be able to allow you to do this. And then for those of you that don't know me, my name is Heather Creswell, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Code of the She-Wolf. I've got over 30 years of experience working in the field of personal and professional development. I'm a globally certified coach and facilitator. I've co-authored a best-selling book called The Circle of Excellence, Conscious Leaders Playing a Bigger Game, and featured on iNext Prime TV. I've spoken on international stages. I've got amazing corporate clients ranging from companies such as Standard Bank and Carrick Wealth. but my true love is in entrepreneurial businesses, and have worked with businesses such as Can-Do and Gordian Fence and many, many more. And a lot of my clients are CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and leaders. I'm a member of the Circle of Excellence, which is a global community of conscious leaders, which gives me access to cutting edge entrepreneurial education, but also what's happening in the fields of neuroscience, what's happening in the field of mindset. And so continuously updating the information that I'm training and teaching, so that we always learning new things. I'm always learning new things, and I'm then taking that and teaching that and sharing that with all of you. I've been a guest lecturer at the UCT Graduate School of Business. What I really care about is that been married for 33 years to the best human being I know. And I'm the mother to 3 gorgeous children and Gogo to 2 beautiful, beautiful grandchildren. I'm passionate about the ocean, and I'm currently training for the Robben Island Swim and SA Lifesaving Champs. So that's where I'm living with Wild Courage at the moment, is putting myself out there into these wild environments. So now more than ever, women need to come together. When I was doing research around the Code of the She-Wolf and why I felt the need for a community, these stats just really, really brought it home. 72% of women feel lonely. We've got 1 in 4 women feeling burnt out at work due to the hidden load of family and societal expectations. Never mind what's happening in the workplace, never mind the onslaught of information, the expectations that we have on us, as well, of course, AI and all these radical changes and shifts that are happening while we're struggling to keep up. Many, many women experience disconnection from themselves, resulting in feelings of emptiness. It's hard to access what's really going on inside. And so a lot of the work that we do is around reclaiming those aspects of ourselves and creating beautiful, beautiful, deep connection with ourselves. And then between 69 and 89% of us are experiencing body dissatisfaction. We've got major judgments about our bodies, how they look, how they feel. And then many of us are experiencing trauma, big loss, grief, and major, major transitions, whether it's in our work, whether it's in our roles at work, whether it's at home, divorce, relationship changes, children leaving the nest, empty nests, menopause. And these are all things that we talk about and that we work on and that we deal with in the Code of the She-Wolf. Now more than ever, we need to reclaim our identity. We need to develop a truly powerful sense of self. We need to transform what has been limiting us and stop sabotaging ourselves by uncovering the hidden undercurrents that keep us from shining. And these undercurrents can be past experiences that we've had. They can be beliefs that we have imprinted in our psyche that just stop us from really stepping into our full power and living into the fullness of who we are. And now more than ever, we need to live with wild courage. We need to have the courage to live into a new definition of ourselves, to be able to speak up and share what's on our hearts, what's on our minds, and put some really, really, really important boundaries in place. And so as I'm working through this, please, if you've got any questions, type them into the chat. I'm not going to stop to answer questions now, but we are going to have time at the end for questions. And I would love to hear your thoughts and any questions that you've got. And so how did I do it? How did I create the sense of deep belonging that I have with myself and being able to live with wild courage? And, just like you, I'm on this journey on an ongoing basis. But it really began with me from a place in my family where I never felt like I belonged. I was born into a family where I was highly sensitive. Emotions, vulnerability, sensitivity were not honored in my family. And I always felt like I was a little bit of a changeling child, that I was pretty sure that I got changed at the hospital or I was adopted. But I did know from a very young age that I wanted to make a difference and that I wanted to break free from my fears, and I wanted to learn to trust myself. And so the reason why I've got this picture here is because this is actually taken from the Jungle Book. And when I was 5 years old, I won the reading prize in English. And the book that I got as for the reading prize was the Jungle Book. And it was so incredible because this was when I got my first experience of wolves and how a wolf family could, in my imagination, become my other family. And so this really was a journey that started very, very young, this deep connection to wolves, to a wolf pack that in my imagination I lived with. And this helped me through so many really radical experiences that I had when I was growing up, because when I was 10 years old, I lost my sister, who was 24. And she was killed very violently, and it shattered our family. And most importantly, had a radical impact on my dad and my relationship with my dad, because out of everybody in my family, he was really my anchor. And so going through this experience was a double loss. It was the loss of my sister, but it was also the loss of my relationship with my dad, and my dad, how I knew him during that time. And what this imprinted on me was a number of things, but a major imprint or scar that it left on me was that it wasn't safe to be a woman. And so my identity as a female was in question, and who could I become? What could I make myself be in order to be safe if it wasn't safe to be a woman? And so I became a tomboy. I stepped into my masculine energy. I only had guy friends around me. I competed in the swimming arena. I really pushed myself as hard as I could. And I did every single thing that I could to get my dad back. And so I really hooked into driving myself to perform, because my dad loved to swim. And if I was winning and I was swimming, then I was getting his acknowledgement and his appreciation. And so these damaging beliefs that I wasn't good enough just being myself, that I had to earn it, that life wasn't safe, that my being female wasn't safe. And then just to compound all of this, when I was 16 years old, I bunked school, and I went with a very good friend of mine and this boy that I just had this huge crush on. And we went down to the motocross track below the Westville Hospital, and they were riding their motorbikes, and I was standing in the back of the bakkie, and suddenly the motorbikes went quiet. And then Ricky, who I was with, came screaming up in his motorbike and said to me, "Gus had a bad accident. You need to go and help him. I'm going to the hospital." And I went running through the sand along this track. And as I got to Garth, he died in front of me. And so I had another event and another massive experience of loss, of feeling so powerless. I couldn't save him. I couldn't touch him. There was absolutely nothing that I could do to help this boy who was dying in front of me because he'd broken his neck when he fell. And, these experiences, I'm sharing these experiences with you because these fundamental experiences that we have when we're growing up form a deep framework and almost like the hard drive in our psyche that creates our personality and creates our beliefs and creates the structure and identity of self. And so, in those days, you didn't go for therapy. It was, you kind of dusted yourself off, went to school the next day as though nothing had happened. And for many years, I carried these events with me, and how unsafe the world was. And that I wasn't good enough because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't save Garth. I couldn't help my dad through this massive grief that he was experiencing. I was barely coping with myself at that point. And so when I was 24 years old, I was married. I already had 2 children. I was competing in the Doozy. We were moving countries to Swaziland. There was a lot going on, but I was determined to continue to push myself on a physical level in order to feel like I was worth something. And when we got to Swaziland, we'd done really, really well on the Doozy Canoe Marathon. I decided that my next event that I would like to train for was the Comrades, because, hey, it's not enough that you've got a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, you're studying and you're moving countries and you're married. And I went for a run and my body just stopped working. And this was the beginning of my journey, because my white blood cell count dropped to below 5. My doctors thought that I had HIV. And what we worked out was that I was actually suffering from ME and from chronic fatigue, but it was really, really bad. I couldn't even get out of bed. And I knew at that point in time, because I was the same age as my sister, that I could either follow her or I could choose life. And that at this critical moment, I had to make a choice. And so I chose life. And I chose to go on this incredible journey of self-discovery. And it started off with walking into a seminar in a training room at the age of 24. And I continued to do that work from 1994 all the way through until 2017, working as a trainer and a facilitator in that organization. But I traveled the world to train with leaders in the field, leaders like Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols, Peter Sage. I've been all over the show to really learn as much as I could around what does it mean to actually transform these beliefs? What does it mean to step fully into your power as a human being? And I continue to work on myself every day. I've studied through the College of Applied Psychology. And the reason why I have put the Code of the She-Wolf community together is because if I knew what I know now then, it would have gone so much quicker. Years and years of therapy, years and years of going from one person to the next, fortunes and fortunes. If I've made the biggest investment in my life, it has been in personal development and self-discovery. It would just have gone a lot quicker. And so that is why I put these frameworks for us to work through today in order for you not to have to go on such a lengthy journey of 30 years in order to come home to yourself. And so the first secret that I want to share with you is how our psychological frameworks are made up and how we can then work with it on a daily basis. So in the world, we have our actions and we have our results. And so we take an action and we get a result. And for many of us, we aren't getting the results that we want in the world. We aren't getting the results in our relationships, in our leadership, in our relationship with ourselves, our children, our families, our community. Because what's driving this at an unconscious level, and we're much like icebergs, our conscious is 10% and our unconscious is sitting in this 90%. We've got unmet needs and met needs. So when we were little and young, we had psychological, emotional, and physical needs. And the way that these needs were met are going to determine how we experience ourselves, how we experience life, how we experience our relationships. And so for many of us, our needs weren't met. And I've yet to meet anybody who's had a completely happy childhood. Many of us have had lovely childhoods, but there are fundamental needs that just don't get met as we're growing up. And what this forms is it forms our belief systems. And our belief systems become the structure on which we base our entire life. It becomes the story that we tell about our life. It becomes the way that the lens through which we view life. So if I had to continue to view it being unsafe as being a woman, then I'm going to create a story around that. I'm going to step into my masculinity. Maybe I'm going to not put myself out into the world because it's unsafe. I'm going to create a story that defines the way that I live my life. And then that influences our thoughts that we have every day, and it influences the feelings that we have. And so all of this relates back to that foundational patterning that we really deep dive into on the Code of the She-Wolf, because it's sometimes hard to go there. I'm not saying that this is an easy journey, but it's the most rewarding journey, because if you can start to make the connection between the experiences that you had, even if it was just an environment that you were in, because when we're young, we don't have the filters that we have in place now. We can't filter out. And so if somebody said to us we were stupid, we believed them. If somebody said to us we weren't good enough, we believed them. You know, Bron and I were working together the other day, Bronwyn and I said out loud, "What's wrong with me?" And she said to me, "Nothing," because I was working on one thing and she was working on the other thing. And I said to her, "Oh my word, that is so hectic," because that is the voice of my dad. My dad would say to me, "What's wrong with you? Why didn't you da da da? What's wrong with you? Why didn't you da da da?" And so there was a belief that was sitting there that there was something wrong with me. And so when we go on these journeys, we uncover what those beliefs are, and we can start to transform and we can start to shift them. And what that does is it means that we start to think differently, we start to feel differently, we start to take different actions, and we start to get better results. And isn't that what we all want? Don't we all want to get, I mean, put your hands up if you really want to get better results in your life. You want to have better relationships. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to feel better in terms of your role at work. You want to have, better and deeper connections with the people that you socialize with. And so when we start to shift and transform these elements, then it's an automatic experience that we have of taking different actions and getting better results. And so how does this play out in our everyday life? How can we work with this in our everyday life? And honestly, if you can take this model that I'm going to share with you and start to apply it in your life, out of everything that I'm going to share with you today, this thing is the most critical model that I can share with you. So there you are, you're going along in life, and maybe you're at work and you're at the office and an event happens. Maybe you walk into the office and a colleague doesn't greet you, or you arrive at the office and somebody speaks to you in a specific tone of voice, or you're sitting in traffic and somebody cuts you off. There's an event that happens. And as a result of that event, you have a triggered response. Something goes off in you. You can feel that there's adrenaline suddenly pouring through your body. This happens in an instant. You don't necessarily have control over it. You just know there's a visceral response that you're having in your body. And this is what I call a trigger. And this is how most of us experience our triggers, because most of us are walking through life asleep, because our brains are wanting to create patterns out of everything that we have experienced. And so this is what I call the unconscious reaction that we have, or this, when we're asleep, we have this reaction. We have this trigger and we have an automatic reaction to it. So your automatic reaction might be to get angry. Your automatic reaction might be to wind down your window and start shouting at the person. Your automatic reaction might be to withdraw and go inwards and go, "Jeepers, I wonder what I've done wrong that Jonathan didn't greet me when I came in this morning." You have an automatic reaction. And these become our sabotaging patterns. Because if you're getting angry and you're lashing out, or you're withdrawing into yourself, what it leads to, if we do this enough times, and say, for example, you turn inward, what happens is this can very, very easily lead to an experience of depression. You keep on withdrawing every time this happens. You keep on going inwards. You keep on shutting down to that feeling that's coming up. And so the more that you do this, the more the chances are that you're going to start to experience radical feelings of depression or radical feelings of anger, where somebody just has to bump into you and you're exploding. And so these sabotaging patterns happen as a result of a lack of awareness. And it happens because we are not awake to what is, we can talk about our buttons getting pushed. What's sitting underneath this? If somebody doesn't greet you, does it trigger a memory of when, you used to come home and your mom and dad were really busy and they didn't say hello to you? Or does it trigger an event where your best friend started ignoring you at school and suddenly you were left out of the circle? We've got a lack of awareness of where these triggers and these reactions are coming from. And it creates an emotional overload. Because what we're doing out of this lack of awareness is that we're suppressing a huge amount of our emotions. And this suppression takes a massive amount of energy. And so somebody if you picture, you're standing in a swimming pool and you're holding 25 balls under the water. Those are all the emotions that you're holding as a result of this reaction that we're having to these events that happen to us in our life. And an event can be anything. It can be a loss. It can be a death. It can be something as simple as somebody bumping you physically, cutting you off in traffic. These things are small things, but they are compounding because it's not that specific event. It's taking you back to a past event that is similar, that is causing you to have this trigger. We blame everybody else. We blame the traffic. We blame the weather. We blame the other person. And so we go into external blame, which means that our locus of control is external. And so it leaves us feeling powerless and victimized. And so this pattern perpetuates. And so what this results in is that it results in negative outcomes and a negative result. It results in us living unconsciously in this constant reaction based on our past patterns. And so, if you've ever left a relationship and said, I'm never going to go into a relationship with somebody like that again, and the next minute you wake up a year later and you're in a relationship and you're having the exact same experience, this is what is going on. These foundational frameworks, beliefs, experiences that are sitting in your hard drive are running the show. We all do this. We get in our car, we drive to work, and we get there and we've got no idea how we got there. We take our kids to school. We don't even hear what they're saying to us. We've got no idea what we're either sitting in our present, our future, or our past in those moments. And so this is how it can be another way. I really want you to get this because this is so exciting. So when you get triggered, if you can just manage to stop for a moment. So instead of going into this automatic reaction to go, wow, I'm triggered. I realize that I'm having a reaction. Take a few deep breaths. Do some block breathing. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And just pause for a moment and bring some awareness into what is going on. And ask yourself, what is happening here? What is this experience that I'm having? And then step into witnessing it. And we can always access this aspect of us that's the witness if we just stop and slow down. Because if you can become aware of what it is that you're feeling and put a name to it, wow, this has made me feel jealous. This has made me feel sad. This has made me feel angry. This has made me feel left out. This has made me feel alone. This has made me feel betrayed. And we can put a label to it and start to witness those emotions and start to pay attention to those feelings and to ask yourself, where does this come from? Where does this feeling come from? Because it's not coming from the fact that this person just cut you off. It's not coming from the fact that, your colleague didn't greet you. It's coming from a far deeper place within you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having such a massive reaction to it. And then to apply this knowledge and to go, okay, I know that I always had these abandonment issues with my mom. My colleague didn't greet me. I'm feeling abandoned by my colleague. Is this what is really going on? No, it's not. My colleague is not abandoning me. They are just busy with what it is they're doing. So if I take this knowledge now and I apply this knowledge and I feel empowered, I can walk up to my colleague and I can say, hi, I'm just checking in with you. I noticed when I arrived, you were really, really busy. And I just want to have a little moment to connect with you and say hello before we dive into our day. Suddenly, the locus of control sits within you. Suddenly, you can determine the outcome that you want. Suddenly, you're going to get a different result because instead of getting angry with your colleague or your friend, instead of disconnecting from them, now you can make a choice to connect with them. And this is where you start to live in conscious creation. This is where you're living in the present moment. You're consciously creating the response that you want to have. You're consciously creating the way that you want to engage. You're not waiting for other people, other events, the world to be okay before you can feel okay. And like I said, this model is life-changing. So we're going to send you the recording of this. You're going to have it. You're going to have access to it. And if you can start to practice this with just small steps, I can promise you it is life-changing. It helps you leap over 10 years of therapy because this is where you start to make deep, deep shifts in your life and in the way that you love and in the way that you lead. So I hope that this is really making sense to you, that you're getting it, and that you can see that how you can apply this in your life. And, Sahaja is somebody that I've worked with, and this is really, she's used this, and it's really made shifts in how she's viewed herself, and particularly in her leadership and her influence in the world. And this is really about creating a sense of belonging to yourself. And, she just highly recommends the Code of the She-Wolf in terms of taking some of these tools and helping you to transform the way you live, love, and lead. And so this is also about letting go. This is about writing your memories on rocks, anchoring them, remembering them, working with them, then writing them on sand, then writing them on water, and then in the air. And so this is the way that we can work with our memories so that we can really let go of the influences that they have on our life. And we can start to heal some of those imprints that were laid on our hearts and our souls at a very young age. And so secret number 2 is the growth framework. And I'm going to move quite quickly through these because I really wanted to deep dive into secret number 1. But this is really about harnessing your inner strength, breaking free from external expectations, and stepping into your authentic power. And so this is where we can really start to live with more wild courage in our life. And it starts with gratitude. It starts with you shifting your lens to what is present in your life in the past and right now that you can be grateful for. And the reason why this is so important is because when you step into and you start to access the emotion of gratitude, I'm not talking about just at a head level, you really allow yourself to feel it. Your heart and your mind, your brain start to move into this beautiful coherence. Your heart rate slows down, your thinking improves, and what starts to happen is your heart starts to be the place from which you can dream. And because your brain starts to shift into a coherent frequency with your heart, you start to have inspired thoughts. And so this beautiful experience starts to happen of where you have an idea that really comes from your heart and from your longingness for you to express in the world. And your brain and your mind comes into service of that. And so when you come from a place of gratitude, it allows you to reframe the events that are happening, reframe the challenges that you are experiencing right now. It means taking off the glasses of that the world is an unsafe place and reframing it to I'm going to trust, reframing it into I'm going to allow myself to feel safe as a woman, reframing it that being me is enough. I don't need to be out there proving myself all the time. Reframing this challenge as an opportunity to grow. And what this requires is it requires us to be open-minded, to have an element of curiosity, that we walk into a bookstore and we pick up a book and we don't read the cover and go, oh, I disagree with this and put it down. We go, oh, I disagree with this, I'm going to buy it. Because I want to grow. I want to be open-minded. I want to explore new ideas, new concepts, and then go back into that witnessing. What am I experiencing? What am I thinking about and feeling as I'm facing this challenge? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling a lack of bandwidth? Because it's in the witnessing that we can slow down enough to start to transform. And can I trust myself to know that I can put a new boundary in place, that I can deliver a courageous communication that I've been hanging on to for the last 2 years? Can I say no to something? Can I put some frameworks in place in my life that allow me to take time to nurture myself? And can I then take all of these learnings and harness it so that every day I'm looking for opportunities to grow? Every day I am looking at myself and going, sure, can I think a new thought? You know, I woke up in the middle of the night the other night and I was thinking the same thing over and over again. And I was like, you are not allowed to have this thought again. It's fine. You can stay awake as long as you like, as long as you are having new thoughts. And so when we interrupt ourselves, then we are able to harness these kinds of frameworks and structures and start to apply them in our everyday life. And then secret number 3 is the Wild Courage Framework. And some of you have already started to work with this, which is really, really exciting. But this is really about waking up, which is everything that we've been speaking to up until now. Waking up to your real emotions, waking up to what's driving you at an unconscious level, waking up to what is going on in your internal world. What is really happening for you? Waking up to why is it that you are feeling so disconnected? Why is it that you are feeling so lonely? And so this is the wake up call, because if we don't ask ourselves these questions, we will never be able to live with wild courage. We will continue in that cycle of just being reactive and living in the past and repeating the past in the present moment. And so this is also about igniting your internal fire, because if we can ignite our passion, if we can connect into what is our purpose, what is it that we are truly meant to be here for? What is it that we're meant to be doing? What are we meant to be experiencing? Who are we meant to be? Then this can allow us and give us the courage to fearlessly or with fear step into that. And so, you know, living with wild courage is not about being fearful, about being fearless and doing it anyway. I mean, you know, Bron said to me when we came onto this call, how are you feeling? And I was like, whew, I'm feeling pretty fearful. It's like we poured our hearts and souls into this and, you know, wondering how people are going to engage with it. Is it going to touch you? Is it going to resonate with you? Because it's something that we so deeply care about. But, you know, it's so quick to switch fear into excitement. And so all it is, it's just a label change. And so we can make friends with our fear and we can still live with wild courage. And what does it mean to live with wild courage? It means that we take those risks. We deliver that communication. We go inward. And if our inner knowing and our inner wisdom is saying to us, say no, then we say no. We slow down enough to be able to tap into what is this saying to me? Is this dangerous? Is it safe? And that comes from your deep inner wisdom. What is it that's true for me? And how can I live in accordance with that? Because when we do that and we dedicate our lives to this journey of personal development, to this journey of wild courage, extraordinary things start to happen. We feel different. We connect differently. We are able to live up against our skin. We have a deep sense of belonging. And so, the way that I kind of just looking at this pattern, the way that I think about us as human beings is that we all have a shape that is us. And when we withdraw, when we cut off aspects of ourselves, that shape it changes. And so we can never really feel like we belong because we're part of this big jigsaw puzzle. And so when our shape changes, we don't fit in anymore. And the only way for us to truly fit in and have a sense of belonging is to expand our identity so that we can fill that full shape. And then we go to the place where we belong. We find our tribe where we belong. We find our community. We even find our new family where we belong. And that's not about us fitting in. It's about us being able to expand our identity into the fullness of who we are. And we are accepted for that. Nobody wants us to play small. They want us to play big and large and live up against the very frontiers of our skin. It's like a tree growing into the fullness of who it is. So you've learned 3 things. Secret number 1, the transformative roadmap to living awake and living asleep, to release the weight of your past and awaken to your true potential. You've learned secret number 2, the growth framework that's liberated you and me from conforming, fitting in, and playing small. It's now yours to embrace. And secret number 3, the wild courage framework, which is really about living authentically, enabling you to ignite your inner fire and devoting yourself and dedicating yourself to this courageous journey. And so you are probably feeling like this. Oh my gosh, Heather, what are you doing? You've been just piling it all in here. And so what I would love your permission to do now is to share a little bit about the way forward in terms of the Code of the She-Wolf community, because I know that I've probably overwhelmed you with these frameworks, but I really wanted to give you a sense of what's possible and what you could experience if you come into the Code of the She-Wolf community. And so I wanted to just share a little bit about what the Code of the She-Wolf community is about. And so the Code of the She-Wolf is really about imagining that you can live through the 11 codes of the She-Wolf. And even though I tested this presentation, we've got 2 slides that have already popped up here, but I'm going to start from the beginning. And so the first one is having inner knowing. And this is really about being able to tap into your inner wisdom on a daily basis. And by embodying this code, you learn to strengthen your intuitive voice and navigate life with unshakable clarity. And so the way the Code of the She-Wolf community is structured is that we take each of these codes and we work through them each month. And so the first month is really around this inner knowing. It's about what is present for you? How can you tap into it? Because being able to do that really sets the foundation for the rest of the codes. The next code is around resilience. And this code teaches you how to cultivate unwavering strength, to learn from setbacks, approach life's trials with resilience, courage, and grace. And so, life is not easy. It's not. We are all being stretched and challenged. but there is a way to live with this resilience, courage, and grace. The third code is around having a loyal heart, and this is really around creating those deep and meaningful relationships. I've been married for 33 years. It's been an epic journey of creating meaningful relationships, leading with authenticity, and creating an unbreakable trust in yourself and others. It's about living and leading with wild courage. We've already been through this code. It's about taking bold action, embracing uncertainty, and claiming the life you're destined for. Nurturing nature is about teaching you the power of self-care and compassion, and ensuring that you're nourished and supported as you rise and you grow. Independent spirit is about cultivating deep self-reliance, embracing your uniqueness, and walking your path with bold authenticity. Becoming a wisdom keeper means that you're continuously learning. And through your learning, you're also teaching. So becoming the student and the teacher, and then taking this and applying this in your life, whether it's as your leadership role in your family, in your community, and in your social circles. Protective instinct. This code teaches you to set and uphold strong boundaries. I mean, who here struggles with boundaries? Ensuring that you invest your energy where it truly serves you at your highest good. Being a collaborative in spirit. So how do we create together? Being part of this community, you're going to meet people that you're going to be able to collaborate with, that you're going to create relationships with. And then becoming a creative visionary helps you unlock your creative potential. Break free from conventional thinking and really step into your passion and purpose. And then a really, really key one is around balanced power. And this is about harmonizing your masculine and feminine energy. And so merging flow and confidence with surrender, and taking action with trust and stillness. And so these are the 11 codes of the She-Wolf. And you've got two options. You can either do it on your own and take what you've learned from this presentation, or you can do it with a mentor and, in a community to support you. And so if you choose to join the community today, we've got some amazing, amazing founders, founder membership bonuses that we are going to add onto you as members of the community. And so the first one is a beautiful mindset meditation. And this is really for you to access your unconscious and rewrite your script. And that's valued at $49. And then your new identity framework. I can't tell you how potent this is, because if you've worked with me before, you would have definitely done this. Around creating a new identity, we move through 4 steps. You build up an identity statement. We go through the process. We go out into nature. You launch your new identity. You shout it out to the world. And this incredible process is valued at $297. And it's absolutely potent. It makes enormous, enormous shifts in your life. And then the Wolf Compass is a 12-week online course. And this is really a holistic lens to navigate your own personal development through creating your own medicine wheel. And this is with wisdom, openness, leadership, and flow. And the wisdom is for the north, and that's for your mind. Openness is in terms of the east and your body, and how do you manage energy and continue to be vibrant and have lots of vitality as you navigate life. If we don't look after ourselves physically, we're not going to cope. Leadership in the South is around leading yourself from an emotional perspective, and then looking at your West, which is your spirit, really tapping into what is bigger than you. It doesn't matter what your religion is, but really, how do you connect into something bigger in order to fulfill your purpose and leave your mark on the world that you are meant to leave? And then that's valued at $997. And this is what you get in the Code of the She-Wolf community. You get amazing weekly Wild Courage community coaching calls. So these are going to be happening on a Wednesday. If you're not available to listen to them, all of them will be recorded, so you'll have access to them. We're going to have monthly guest mentor sessions with amazing, amazing world-class mentors, speakers, coaches, trainers that are going to come and share with you. We have mini growth and empowerment challenges through the month. You're going to have access to the She-Wolf Wisdom Vault, which is my 30 years of working in this field, putting frameworks together, having step-by-step processes, and these get released as we work through each of the different codes. An awesome, awesome private She-Wolf community, and your founding member bonus is valued at over $1,000. And so we're doing this one-time founders offer, which is never going to be repeated again. Doors are opening on the 31st of March. It's going to be $49 a month or $497 a year. Bronwyn's going to put the link into the chat if you don't want to scan the QR code. But you can click on the link. You can go through to the landing page. It'll have more information there. And otherwise, just take a screenshot of this screen and you can just take your camera, hold it over this QR code. It'll take you through to the landing page and you can register on the landing page. We're just absolutely thrilled about this. We've poured our heart and souls into this community. The amazing content that you're going to have access to is going to be there. And then I know that maybe you've got a couple of questions. So I'm just going to bring myself back into the community. But I just wanted to quickly answer some of these. If you can't make the live calls, they are recorded. You have access as long as your membership is up to date. And as a founding member, you lock in this rate for life as long as your membership's up to date. And, many of us are already busy. Will you have time for this? This is not about adding more to your plate. It's about helping you to simplify, declutter, reclaim your energy and move forward. And so even if just you listen to the calls and the replays, you can experience massive shifts. And so this is what you can expect. It's not, each woman's going to be different, but you're going to have more clarity and confidence in your decisions, deeper self-trust and alignment in your personal professional life, shift from fear and self-doubt into wild courage and self-leadership in a beautiful, supportive, non-competitive space, thriving instead of just surviving. And you're going to move, most importantly, into a deep and loving relationship with yourself. Pimperning's got this beautiful saying, which we stole for the Code of the She-Wolf, because she's one of our brand ambassadors and partners. And that is, you can't compete with me. I want you to win too. And so that's really the foundation and the premise for the Code of the She-Wolf. It's really that we are here because we want all of you to win. We want you to win at life. We want you to win in love. And we want you to win in leadership in whatever form that takes, whether it's leading yourself, leading a team, leading your family. So it's been absolutely brilliant to be with all of you. And I look forward to seeing you in the community. And thank you so much. I'm deeply, deeply appreciative of you taking the time to be here. I know that time is precious and I absolutely value it and really appreciate you being here.